YouTube, I had decided to break my rule on getting 100 subscribers before I went on camera because Alonzo has decided to debate me. So I figured that would probably be a really good reason to put my face and my voice to this so that you can see my reactions to some of his accusations. Now, first off, yes, that's the Benny Hill theme, and it's called Jackety Sax. It was more or less put on there to lighten up the video so that it wasn't taken so seriously, which you end up taking it seriously anyway. That's beside the point. I have a few things on paper that I'm going to be looking at. They're my notes to make sure that I hit the points I want to make rather than rambling, which I've already started doing. The first thing, familiars. That's a little bit of a different topic, and if you'd like, I would love to make a video on familiars and talk about that a little bit more, but that's really not what we're discussing here. So the only thing I'm going to say is what you read, yeah, technically that is correct. You don't always pick the familiar that you get. Your familiar or entity doesn't necessarily be an animal, it could be any kind of helping spirit at all. Does tend to pick you, and mine happens to be hanging out behind me out of camera view because he probably gets camera as much as I do. Yeah, so I will be making a video on familiars, but right now that's not what we're trying to talk about. I mentioned that you don't actually have to be clinically dead in order to go to the underworld or journey to any other realm. My point in saying that is it's called a trance, and there's a difference between clinic death and trance. And I have some information here, and I'm going to read it because I don't want to sit here and try to remember it all. Clinical death. It says, at the onset of clinical death, consciousness is lost within several seconds. Measurable brain activity stops within 20 to 40 seconds. Irregular gasping may occur during this early time, and is sometimes mistaken by rescuers as a sign of CPR is not necessary. During clinical death, all tissues and organs in the body steadily accumulate a type of injury called, I can't really say that, ischemic injury? I imagine that's what it says. Now that's completely different from trance. In trance, you do reach an altered state of consciousness, but you never lose consciousness. You may not be completely here, but you never stop breathing, or usually don't stop breathing. If you stop breathing, then something's gone a little bit wrong. If your brain activity stops, then something else has gone terribly wrong. Now, it's not unknown to happen, especially if you're using chemical helpers, such as drugs or various herbs that you may have obtained for the process. However, during trance, you're very unlikely to become dead at any point unless you're using some kind of chemical substance. You mentioned, again, the whole familiar thing. You don't have to be dead to get a familiar that is related to the underworld. There are a lot of animal spirits that are related to the underworld that you don't necessarily have to be dead to get. Cats are one of them. That's actually a very typical familiar for most witches and pagans to have. Cats are related to the underworld, they're related to Hecate, a number of goddesses that are related to the underworld. So, in that idea, you are completely wrong. You do not have to be dead in order for a familiar or entity that represents death to associate or communicate with you. And I'm very sorry that for some reason you have this understanding.